and welcome to In Depth. I'm TEENA JHA. The Nobel Prize is one of the most prestigious awards given to people or institutions for their outstanding work in the fields of medicine, physics, chemistry, literature, peace, and economics. The Nobel Prizes are awarded annually on the death anniversary of Alfred Nobel. Known as the founder of dynamite, Alfred Nobel did not want to be remembered as the merchant of death. Therefore, to regain control of his legacy, he willed his fortune to create an award that would recognize people who had made positive contributions to mankind. The prize eventually earned a reputation for selecting notable awardees. At the Nobel Award ceremony on the 10th of December, the laureates received three things: a Nobel diploma, a Nobel medal, and a document confirming the Nobel Prize amount. Each Nobel diploma is a unique work of art created by foremost Swedish and Norwegian artists and calligraphers. The Nobel medals are handmade with careful precision and in 18-karat green gold plated with 24-karat gold. Today in Depth, we talk about this year's recipients of the Nobel Prize in Physics, Chemistry and Medicine. The Nobel Peace Prize for this year is yet to be announced. By mid-19th century, powerful explosives were being created by treating various organic substances with nitric acid. Among these new explosives was dynamite, a stabilized form of nitroglycerine invented in 1867 by Alfred Nobel. Nobel became wealthy by setting up companies and selling patent rights to dynamite and related products worldwide. When he died in 1896, he left his considerable estate as an endowment for annual awards in chemistry, physics, medicine or physiology, literature and peace, all of which represented his lifelong interests. In this report, let's tell you about the winners of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2018. The 2018 Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to three scientists for their work on enzyme research. American scientists Frances Arnold and George Smith will share the prize with British researcher Gregory Winter. According to the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, one half of the prize, about €870,000, will go to Frances Arnold, a professor of chemical engineering at the California Institute of Technology. The other half of the prize will be shared by George Smith of the University of Missouri and Gregory Winter, a 67-year-old genetic engineer at the MRC Laboratory of Molecular Biology at Cambridge. Frances Arnold is only the fifth woman to clinch chemistry's most prestigious honor and the first since 2009. Her research on enzymes, which are proteins that catalyze chemical reactions, laid the bedrock for the development of better industrial chemicals and pharmaceuticals. In 1993, Arnold conducted the first directed evolution of enzymes. Since then, she refined the methods that are now routinely used to develop new catalysts. The uses of Frances Arnold's enzymes include more environmentally friendly manufacturing of chemical substances like pharmaceuticals and the production of renewable fuels for a greener transport sector.
We make chemistry that's compatible with life. We want to use life to do our chemistry for us and make things from renewable resources. We want to develop the science and the technology that will help us survive on our planet, thrive on our planet, and share it with all the other creatures that we share it with. I am confident that the Nobel Committee will see the brilliance of the women who are coming through chemistry now. It's just such a rich resource. And as long as we encourage everyone, doesn't matter the color, gender, everyone who wants to do science, we encourage them to do it. We're going to see Nobel Prizes coming from all these different groups. Women will be very successful.
George Smith and Gregory Winter developed a technique called phage display to evolve new proteins. In 1985, George Smith developed an elegant method known as phage display, where a bacteriophage, a virus that infects bacteria, can be used to evolve new antibodies, which are large proteins used by the immune system to neutralize harmful bacteria and viruses. Gregory Winter used phage display for the directed evolution of antibodies with the aim of producing new pharmaceuticals. The first antibody based on this method, adalimumab, was approved in 2002 and is used for rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and inflammatory bowel diseases. Since then, Phage display has produced antibodies that can neutralize toxins, counteract autoimmune diseases, and cure metastatic cancer.
Phage display is in part of a larger network of life sciences technologies that try to replicate some essential features of evolution in the test tube, where the experimenter has control of the natural selection that is going to select for the desired product, rather than nature randomly selecting for some product. If we could think of an insect as a quotes product.
The Nobel Committee for Chemistry says the winners this year have taken control of evolution and used it for purposes that bring the greatest benefit to mankind.
This year's prize in chemistry rewards a revolution based on evolution. Our laureates have applied the principles of Darwin in the test tubes and used this approach to develop new types of chemicals for the greatest benefit of humankind. In their laboratories, our laureates this year have been able to direct evolution, to steer it, which has led to new chemical tools that can be used in everything from environmentally friendly detergents to the creation of new biofuels and pharmaceuticals.
Arnold, Smith and Winter will receive their Nobel Prize from Sweden's King Carl XVI Gustaf at a formal ceremony in Stockholm on 10 December, the death anniversary of Alfred Nobel. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Research into how the human body's natural defenses can fight cancer was awarded this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine. Two immunologists, James Allison of the United States and Tasuku Honjo of Japan, have jointly been awarded the prize. Their research is a huge breakthrough in developing treatment for various types of cancer without the usual side effects. Announcing the prize, the Nobel Committee praised the duo, saying they have changed the way we see how cancer can be managed. The immunologist duo of James Allison of the US and Tasuku Honjo of Japan won the 2018 Nobel Prize for Medicine. The two have won the prize for their research into how the body's natural defenses can fight cancer. Allison and Honjo figured out how to help the patient's own immune system tackle cancer more quickly. This is unlike more traditional forms of cancer treatment that directly target cancer cells, often leading to severe side effects.
It used to be that this therapy was given to late-stage patients who had no other options. Now it's the first choice for melanoma, for example. A patient starts on immunotherapy rather than chemo or even the genomically targeted drugs. The only patients that get those are the patients who fail immunotherapy now, and I think that's the way many cancers are headed.
今後この免疫療法がこれまで以上に多くのがん患者を救うことになるように、一層私自身ももうしばらく研究を続けたいと思いますし、世界中の多くの研究者がそういう目標に向かって努力を重ねておりますので。
The pioneering research has now led to treatments that target proteins made by some immune system cells. These proteins act as a brake on the body's natural defenses, killing cancer cells. While announcing Allison and Honjo as the winner, the Nobel Assembly said the therapy has revolutionized cancer treatment and fundamentally changed the way how cancer can be managed.
Well, the significance is that for many different types of cancers where there was really no hope, if you had developed malignant melanoma that had spread, you may have survived for 6 months, not more. Now many, but certainly not all, but many of these patients are now long-term survivors. They have been followed up for a period of 10 years, the first treated patients, and it doesn't seem like the tumor is coming back. And this is very different from many different types of treatments.
This was the first prize that ever given for cancer therapy. And so They've given some for cancer, causing cancer before, but this is the first time for cancer therapy. And I'd like to just give a shout out to all the patients out there who are suffering from cancer, to let them know that, you know, we are making progress now. We can get durable responses in a fraction of patients with many, many different kinds of cancer.
Allison and Honjo's research is decades old. In 1995, Allison was one of 2 scientists to identify the CTLA4 molecule as an inhibitory receptor on T cells, a type of white blood cell that plays a central role in the body's natural immunity to disease. Around the same time, Honjo discovered a protein on immune cells, the ligand PD-1, and eventually realized that it also worked as a brake, but in a different way. Scientists have attempted to engage the immune system in the fight against cancer for more than 100 years, but until the seminal discoveries by the 2 laureates, progress into clinical development was modest. Antibodies against PD-1 have now been approved by the US Food and Drug Administration as an investigational new drug and developed for treating cancer. Research by Allison's team has meanwhile led to the development of a monoclonal antibody drug which was approved by the US FDA in 2011 for the treatment of melanoma.
この治療法によって、重い病気から回復して元気になったと。あなたのおかげだと言われる時があると、本当に私としては、自分の研究が本当に意味があったということを実感し、何よりも嬉しく思っております。
Allison and Honjo previously shared the 2014 Tang Prize, which is touted as Asia's version of the Nobels, for their research. Other cancer treatments have previously been awarded Nobel Prizes, including methods for hormone treatment for prostate cancer in 1966, chemotherapy in 1988, and bone marrow transplantation for leukemia in 1990. The duo will share the Nobel Prize sum of 9 million Swedish kroner, or about $1.01 million US. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. 3 scientists, an American, a French and a Canadian, have jointly won the 2018 Nobel Prize for Physics. Their work involved breakthroughs in laser technology that turned light beams into precision tools for everything from eye surgery to micro-machining. Announced on the 2nd of October, the Nobel Prize for Physics was awarded to a woman scientist after 55 years. Another awardee, Arthur Ashkin, is the oldest person ever to win a Nobel Prize. Here's a look at the scientists and their groundbreaking works in the field of physics.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has today decided to award the 2018 Nobel Prize in Physics with one half to Arthur Ashkin for the optical tweezers and their application to biological systems, and the other half jointly to Gerard Moreau and Donna Strickland for their method of generating high-intensity, ultra-short optical pulses.
This announcement made Dr. Donna Strickland the first woman in 55 years to win a Nobel for Physics, and American physicist Arthur Ashkin the oldest man to win the award. Dr. Strickland's breakthrough in laser technology also made her the 3rd woman ever to win the honor for physics. Marie Curie won the prize in 1903 and Maria Goeppert-Mayer in 1963. Born in Canada in 1959, Dr. Strickland received her first degree in physics in 1981, graduating from McMaster University. She is currently an associate professor at the University of Waterloo and has spent much of her life studying and teaching physics.
People keep asking first about the Lasik surgery, which is still the #1 use of the thing. It's not for those of you who've had Lasik surgery. It is a UV laser that recuts your cornea. It is cutting the cornea flap that this laser has worked on. And that was back in the 90s, so it was just 10 years after we first did CPA. I certainly heard about it just as that was happening and thought it was amazing at the time that I could have done a laser that was definitely being thought of for doing atomic and molecular physics. Right? When we were doing it, we just knew that what we were trying to do was get the electric field beyond the electric field that holds the electron to the atom. So that's what we were trying to do, and so that somebody else could turn it around and
and just get a good use out of it, that's great.
Joint award winner Dr. Gerard Mourou is known for his work on high-intensity lasers. Born on June 22, 1944, 76-year-old Dr. Mourou is currently a Moore Distinguished University Professor Emeritus at the University of Michigan, where he has taught for over 16 years. After getting his PhD from Pierre and Marie Curie University in 1973, Dr. Mourou went to the University of Rochester, where he later worked with Dr. Strickland on their Nobel-winning work. Dr. Strickland and Dr. Mourou co-invented Chirped pulse amplification. This is a method of generating high-intensity, ultra-short optical pulses. The invention has a variety of applications, including corrective laser eye surgery. It is also used in semiconductor manufacturing and solid-state hard drives.
C'est complètement... c'est plein d'émotions qu'on ressent, effectivement. Et puis, bon, on a l'impression qu'évidemment, il y a quelque chose qui a changé, qui va changer dans votre vie. C'est très impressionnant. C'est très impressionnant, c'est là que je peux dire. On va pouvoir faire justement l'étude d'interaction laser-matière à des niveaux de puissance, niveaux d'intensité qui sont considérables, 1 million, 1 milliard de fois plus importants que ce qui se fait normalement. Donc, quand en physique on change les paramètres d'un facteur 1000, 1 million, 1 milliard, il y a toujours des choses qui se passent. On découvre, c'est là où on peut découvrir.
96-year-old American physicist Arthur Ashkin, an affiliate of Bell Laboratories in New Jersey, he was awarded for his invention of optical tweezers, which uses pressure from a highly focused laser beam to manipulate microscopic objects, including living organisms like viruses and bacteria.
It was obvious to many, many people that tweezers was a very powerful technique, and they've been using it for many years, especially this guy from Stanford and his students, and he has dozens of students. But they paid no attention to it. So when they finally woke up, I was surprised. And besides, they like young people. You have to be alive to win the Nobel Prize.
The inventions of these three scientists date back to the mid-1980s. Over the years, they have revolutionized laser physics. Dr. Arthur Ashkin will receive half the monetary prize, worth nearly $1 million, while Dr. Mourou and Dr. Strickland will split the remainder. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Nobel Prize is widely regarded as the most prestigious award given for intellectual achievement in the world. The Nobel Prizes are awarded annually from a fund bequeathed for the purpose by Alfred Nobel. In his will, drafted back in 1895, Nobel instructed that most of his fortune be set aside as a fund for awarding 5 annual prizes for those who, during the preceding year, shall have conferred the greatest benefit on humankind.
The first Nobel Prizes in 1901 were awarded in Stockholm, Sweden, in the fields of physics, chemistry, medicine, literature and peace. They were given to Jacobus H. Wandhoff for chemistry, Willem C. Röntgen for physics, physiology or medicine, Emil A. von Behring, literature, René F. A. Sully Prudhomme, peace, John H. Dunant and Frederick Passy. The ceremony was held on the 5th death anniversary of Alfred Nobel, the Swedish inventor of dynamite and other high explosives. In his will, Nobel directed that the bulk of his vast fortune be placed in a fund in which the interest would be annually distributed in the form of prizes to those who, during the preceding year, shall have conferred the greatest benefit on mankind. Although Nobel offered no public reason for creating the prizes, it is widely believed that he did so out of moral regret over the increasingly lethal uses of his inventions in the war.
Nobel Prize is actually a very old institution. It was founded in 1895 by Alfred Nobel, who was a Swedish chemist, and he was also an inventor and industrialist. And he decided that at the end of his life he would dedicate his fortune, that was a significant fortune that he made, to a prize that should actually award the best achievements of mankind of its time. And it was dedicated in several disciplines, and these are 5 disciplines basically. It was physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace. And then much later in 1968, the Swedish Riksbank, which was a bank, they dedicated a prize that is considered as the Nobel Prize for economics today, but it is actually given by a different institution.
Alfred Nobel was born in Stockholm in 1833. 4 years later, his family moved to Russia. His father ran a successful St. Petersburg factory that built explosive mines and other military equipment. Educated in Russia, Paris, and United States, Alfred Nobel proved to be a brilliant chemist. When his father's business faltered after the end of the Crimean War, Nobel returned to Sweden and set up a laboratory to experiment with explosives. In 1863, he invented a way to control the detonation of nitroglycerine, a highly volatile liquid that has been recently discovered but was previously regarded as too dangerous for use. In 1864, Nobel's nitroglycerine factory blew up, killing his younger brother and several other people. Searching for a safer explosive, Nobel discovered in 1867 that the combination of nitroglycerine and a porous substance called kieselguhr produced a highly explosive mixture that was much safer to handle and use. Nobel christened his invention dynamite, for the Greek word dynamis, meaning power. In 1875, Nobel created a more powerful form of dynamite, blasting gelatin, and in 1887 introduced belistite, a smokeless nitroglycerine powder. Around that time, one of the Nobel's brothers died in France, and French newspapers printed obituaries in which they mistook him for Alfred. One headline read, "The Merchant of Death is dead." After Nobel's death, the Nobel Foundation was set up to carry out the provisions of his will and to administer his funds. Today, the Nobel Prizes are the most prestigious awards in the world. Notable winners include Marie Curie, Theodore Roosevelt, Albert Einstein, George Bernard Shaw, Winston Churchill, Ernest Hemingway, Martin Luther King Jr., the Dalai Lama, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Nelson Mandela. The first female Nobel Peace Prize winner, Baroness Bertha von Suttner, in 1905 was perhaps the inspiration for the award itself. In 2014, Malala Yousafzai, the 17-year-old Pakistani activist who was shot by the Taliban in 2012 for promoting the education of women, shared the Nobel Peace Prize. She is the youngest recipient of a Nobel Prize. Multiple leaders and organizations sometimes receive the Nobel Peace Prize, and multiple researchers often share the scientific awards for their joint discoveries. In 1968, a Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science was established by the Swedish National Bank and first awarded in 1969. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences decides the prizes in physics, chemistry, and economic sciences. The Swedish Royal Caroline Medico-Surgical Institute determines the physiology or medicine awards. The Swedish Academy chooses literature, and a committee elected by Norwegian Parliament awards the Peace Prize. The awards process begins an entire year before the awards are announced, with nominations being invited from all through January 31st of the next year. On February 1st, the 6 committees begin considering nominees and make recommendations to the prize awarding subcommittees in September and early October. The winners have to be announced before November 15th. Nobel Week begins in early October. The Nobel Prizes are still presented annually on December 10th in Stockholm on the death anniversary of Nobel. Each recipient or laureate receives a gold medal, a diploma and a sum of money that is decided by the Nobel Foundation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's it from us in today's edition of In Depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow with a focus on some other important subject. Thanks for your time.